What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, man? Six Paths Commandments. Six Paths Dice, Mr. Lane. If you need me, we here, man. So, I was watching Six the Goddess earlier, and she was saying that she was going to be having a movie night in her Patreon, and they were going to be watching Indian matchmaking. Now, that's a show on Netflix. I hadn't watched it yet, and I'm like, now she was talking about it. I said, you know what? Maybe I'll go check it out. But I wanted to touch on that because I actually got an interesting story. Okay, that's probably gonna be the format moving forward. I'm just gonna start telling stories that associate with certain topics and whatnot, right? So, if you're not familiar, in Indian culture, it's very popular. Indian culture, South Asian culture, and also in Middle Eastern culture. And yeah, you could say Asian. I mean, really Asian and Middle Eastern, kind of like that whole side of the world. Arranged marriages are way more common, and it's kind of just the way. Like you don't necessarily just go out. I'm not sure if they're not allowed to pick a husband and whatnot, but I've had two experiences with. Well, actually, I've had a few. My first experience in terms of the first time I met someone, or at least had someone have a conversation with me about their parents' arranged marriage, and it was kind of in passing. It wasn't anything crazy, but it was a few things she said. She said, "Yeah, like the first time my parents were together was the first time they met, and they had to kind of figure it out, and then I talked to her, and she said, well, for one, the girl was a lawyer. So she's a lawyer. Both her, she had an older brother and sister. She was like the baby, and she's pretty successful. She was still living at home, but she was pretty successful, and so was her sister and brother. So they was pretty successful, and they all also had kids, and so on and so forth. And so obviously arranged marriage, wasn't mandatory because the girl, she had a black boyfriend. The girl I was speaking to, um, but she talked about this basically, just how they met, what their marriage has been like. And I remember her saying that I have never even seen my parents kiss before, And don't get me wrong, I can't co-sign a romanceless marriage, but on one hand, it's like you gotta give it up as far as the family being successful. The family's successful. Like you turned out all right. I don't get me wrong though. I do think that yeah, like you definitely need some chemistry. I mean, I don't know what happened there. I don't know if she was just exaggerating what it was, but I remember her telling me that story, right? And and I always thought about that story, and I also thought about this is again. I've talked to a lot of plus size women, so I've had the chance to observe a lot of plus size women and stuff like that. A lot of time, girls who are plus size are heavy, and again, I got mad love for the plus size girls. I'm never trying to diss them, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to co-sign or encourage something because of my, I don't want to say preferences, but just because something look good to me or I like to look at it. You know what I mean? So while I notice with plus size, this is a little bit of a tangent. While I notice with plus size women, a lot of times they have a really hard time with tradition because they have a hard time with rules, and things being a certain kind of way. They're more likely to try to go against the grain. They're more likely to rebel. They're more likely to try to do things differently or not do things the way it actually works because that's how you come to be overweight, and come to be big. It wasn't until 2021 that I finally say, you know what, I'm tired of being this big. And I know that things will go better and I will have an easier time out here in the dating market and just in general if I weighed 5 pounds less, 10 pounds less, 20 pounds less, if I weighed 50 pounds less, would I look better? Yeah, the answer is yes. Would I feel better? The answer is yes. 50 pounds lighter, yes, the answer is yes. If I lose 75, 80 pounds from where I was, which was 314 when I checked the scale that time, I've probably been heavier than that. I probably been as heavy as 320 at one point. Because I think by that point, people were telling me that I had lost weight. You know what I mean? So, I was bigger. I was a little bigger before. But I asked myself, will my quality of life improve? But as time went on, the first thing I realized was self awareness. Why wasn't it a problem for you to be that big? As time went on, that in that following year, I realized, you know what? No, I'm sorry, it wasn't even a realize. I watched the video with Chris Beast Mode Jones, and I heard this before. And he said, if you find yourself, if you're not rapidly gaining weight or consistently gaining weight, or you seem to be staying around a certain weight or certain number and whatnot, you're probably almost in a deficit. But you have to be in the calorie deficit to lose weight. You know what I'm saying? Continuously lose weight, and it's as simple as that. And if you're not losing weight, you're not in a deficit. So either you're eating too much, or you're not moving enough, or both. All right. But anyway, I said to say that self-awareness in terms of seeing how do I gauge how much of a problem something is, and also how do I see solving it? How do I see fixing it? What's my thoughts on that? How do I process that? So I know it's that with bigger people in general, but with bigger women. And also I remember at one point her saying to me that, yeah, like the idea of kids and marriage just doesn't appeal to me. And that's not normal. Whenever you hear someone say things that are uncharacteristic of a man or a woman or a child and whatnot, or uncharacteristic or not uncharacteristic of someone's age, it's not something that you hear and say, oh no, okay, well, everyone's different. No, that's the same as, again, if you're a woman and a man tells you, I really don't care about money. You know what I mean? And I don't really need anything fancy. I don't really believe in possessions, and I'm not a consumer, and there's more to life. Which there is more to life. I'm not saying money is everything, but if he's saying, hey, I don't know, let's say he's a DoorDash driver and whatnot, ain't nothing wrong with DoorDash, but he tells you, a whole having a job and doing better and moving up in life and getting some property, it doesn't appeal to me. You would think, all right, something going on with that guy. Something's up with him, But anyway, so I remember her saying that. So I mean, I guess I'm cross-referencing. Not even cross. I'm sorry. I'm kind of, what's the word? What's that word? Not trying to conflate things. I'm kind of just going. I'm kind of jumping around a little bit. But going back to the matchmaking thing, right? Because just relationships. But I wanted to touch on that because because she was a little bit older. She was like a little younger than me, and she wasn't really necessarily concerned with getting married or having any children, and she was still living. She probably could afford to live on her own. She still was living with her parents, and also she actually had a man. And also, she was talking to me, which I never understood. Like, how do you have time to talk to me, and why are you talking to a man? Like, if I found out that my girlfriend be on video chats with random dudes from Instagram, oh my gosh, having such a problem. I don't care where I'm at. That's crazy. You know what I mean? But this is before I had my awakening and whatnot. It's something I would never do now. Even if I was single, I would never be on no video chats talking to them. And don't get me wrong, it was never no super inappropriate conversations. And again, she was a very conservative girl, and it was a unique interaction. And that was like my first time interacting with a person who didn't have a bunch of emotional problems, or who just was a regular person, or a person that just was fair. That doesn't have no unfair thinking, or just no nastiness to them about nothing, or no disdain or contempt for anything or anyone. That's the first time I've been around someone or talked to someone like that. And but anyway, so that was one person I met, and also with me being a Buddhist, I know a lot of Indian people, and most of them most of them are in arranged marriages, or were in an arranged marriage, if they are in the marriage, right? And actually, a homeboy of mine just got married. His marriage was arranged. I don't know because of the moment I called him and whatnot, but he didn't sound too happy about it. But anyway, so moving forward. So with the Indian matchmaking, right? So, and I was saying, I was watching Six of Goddess, and she was talking about this and whatnot. So I was in the gas station, not in the gas station. I was at 7-Eleven down the street from me, right? Nice lady that worked there. It's two of them. It's black lady and the Indian lady, right? Indian lady is very modest looking. You know what I'm saying? Like, she, just very real modest and real meek and real kind of quiet, and she just really just be chilling. And we have the black lady who works there, nice lady. She always speaks and tries to be helpful, and she seemed like an overall nice lady. And what got me was I think they was talking about arranged marriage. And I mean, mind you, she worked with the lady. I don't know how you wouldn't know that she's in, that her marriage was arranged. But I believe she said, yeah, I got married to my husband. It was an arranged marriage. That was like the gist of the conversation. I don't know if I was walking in on it, but that was just the gist of the conversation. I think she was talking about like the first time. I think she was explaining how it works. Like, so you meet the guys, because with arranged marriage, like you don't just have to marry him because that's what he picked. Like, the woman, the girl, always has to say yes, or she has to say, whether or not she thinks that she can do it or not. What I mean, they don't make you take whoever. So I think so. She met the guy, and she agreed to marry him and everything, and that was the first time they met. And I remember, the black woman's comment was basically like, "It couldn't have been me, or ain't no way that worked for me." And I'm like, man. Yo, that's why we don't be married. I don't really get what marriage is. Don't get me wrong. Of course, there has to be some romance. There has to be some chemistry. I ain't saying, y'all can have no chemistry, nothing in common at all, and y'all going to hit it off. You know what I mean? But that brings me to my next point about that video that went viral, where the woman is saying, he's talking about basically why she ended her engagement and walked away from a relationship. She said, he was a good man. He was a great man. He was handsome. He ain't had no kids. He made good money. He was good to me and whatnot. But I had to call off the engagement because I just knew something wasn't right. It's just something is missing. And what's funny is, like, mind you, it must have happened some time ago, and it's like, damn, like you still saying that. For one, what was the something? Like you still can't tell us what was missing. Like, your relationships are so much like your job, and you know what I mean. Or I remember I was thinking earlier, like, man, a person that's a good friend has no problem making friends and having friends. The kind of person who's a good friend usually can make a lot of friends. Not so much a lot, but can make friends, or can have at least cordial relationships with people that are in the area or their vicinity, maybe work, maybe in a community and stuff like that. But they usually can kind of maintain a decent friendship. I'm saying, if they're a good friend. Same thing with people who can have careers. If you mostly can always have a good career, or just a good good relationships at work and whatnot, by what? Being professional. That's what it starts with. You have to have professional skills to be able to work on a team. You got to be a team player. You got to be someone who can work with people. You got to be someone who can hear people out. You got to be more to handle things in an amicable way. You got to be able to do conflict resolution, or at least have the interest, the ambition to resolve conflicts, not engage in them or further the conflict. You know what I mean? But skills like that is what makes you able to go anywhere and be on any team, because you get along with people. You're a professional. You come there on time. You do what you're asked to do. You follow directions. You listen to the subordinates and whatnot. You participate in the morale of the team. Whether it's y'all having a drink, y'all talking, hanging out, cracking jokes, whatever it is. But you participate in that, and it's the same thing with relationships. You have to have good relationship skills in order to have a relationship and to keep a relationship. There is no special, no perfect situation. Because I mean, like, listen to that. That'll be the same as, excuse me being a person that has an associate's degree and saying, I had this job, it paid good. I was able to afford, a good car, nice apartment and everything. Good work environment. My manager was was cool people to work with, but something was missing. Something was missing, and it just wasn't right for me. It was, now mind you. Then later on in the video, the lady goes, it's like seeing a shoe, and the shoe is beautiful. It's a great shoe, but it's a size 6, and you need a size 7. And I'm like, well, for one, man, you done broke that man all the way down to just a shoe that go under your foot. Anyway, broke that man all the way down to a possession, and then you say, it's like that shoe was a size 6, but I need a size 7. So I'm like, ma'am, you was walking around wearing a shoe that was one size too small for that long. Like, you got engaged to the man and accepted the ring. Not only that, like, why did they go past the first couple of dates? I'm like, yo, real talk, you have to have it's the same way you go into a job. You basically, what you want to a job, what you look for, you mostly just look for the pay and something that you can do, right? And those are the best relationships that you can have. You look, from when you look for a job, you're looking for the pay, something that you're capable of doing, something you're able to do, right? And how far is it? You're not getting to going to the job thinking like, well, I can't work with this staff if they're not all really into Marvel and Marvel comic books, and if they don't play the whole freaking Infinity Stone saga in the break room on loop every single day, or at least a few times a week. And and if they don't have vending machines that have veggie chips, then I can't come work there. Like, no, you would never get a job. But it's the same thing with relationships. I'm like, yo, you have to have the things, you have to be aware of and value what's most important, not things that don't really matter in a relationship. You know what I mean? I'm like, man, like, where would my relationship be, or how would I see my girl if I really felt like she needs to be as in the battle rap as I am? She needs to go watch battles on her own, and come tell me. I'm like, no, she's not into that. She don't do that. That's okay. You can invite her. As long as someone is able to express interest in the things you're interested in, that's all you need to be happy as a person, just to hear you out, to engage you. Try to remember the stuff that you tell them about this thing you're interested in, or this thing you like, or whatever it is. But a lot of times too, when people talk like that, it's also because, like, yo, you want, I don't say you want too much, but you gotta help people out, because someone had to help you out. You know what I mean? So anyway, I guess the moral of the story, or my main takeaway was just like, man, like, we really don't understand how bad we're doing with relationships. We don't understand how bad the community is doing. We don't understand, like, yo, that's not how marriages come together. Like, you have to be focused on what's best. You know what I'm saying? Is this a good person? That's the most important. That's one of the most important things. Is this a good person? Do they behave in a healthy way in terms of outside of, like, the tangibles and whatnot? As far as, like on the inside, like, okay, do they come from a decent family? Do they have values and morals? How do they handle problems and stuff like that? What's their character like? That should be the only thing. I didn't in that video I just mentioned, I didn't hear any of that stuff. You know what I mean? So on one hand, we got the arranged marriages in Asian culture. And then we have our way of doing things, and it's just clearly not working. We just the way that we gauge whether or not a relationship is worth getting into. It's just off, and it just doesn't work. It's about, like, yo, being a good person. One more thing I'm gonna touch on too, in terms of, I think another thing keeps women single is now. Shout out to Shira Seven. Shira Seven. I heard her before, and I just never really looked into it. I knew that she did, like, content for women and stuff like that. And there is an Instagram page. I don't know why I'm following. I think they do memes and whatnot. What you'll see on Instagram a lot is that they'll maybe have like 10. There'll be like 7 to 10 slides, and they maybe have a picture, but they'll have slides and clips from TikTok and whatnot. And I noticed in the caption, I think it's called Berry Blossom. I would notice in the caption, like, they would sometimes, like, in the post saying sprinkle sprinkle, or it was just say sprinkle sprinkle some places. You know what I mean? And it was a video, and the woman, it's like, oh, this is woman, and she's reading. I don't know. She got a real cheap camera. Like, her camera look old and cheap, and and she's like reading questions and whatnot. Which I don't be thinking them questions be real. I think they be making them questions and they answer them. But but like her, I think, all right. So I think, like, one was my boyfriend said that I'm not wife material, and he said you're not wife material. Well, he's not husband material. What the F? Sprinkle sprinkle. And don't get me wrong. I think she's funny, and I think that she is some truth to what she says. Now, mind you, at the time I didn't know that was Shira Seven, and now that I know who she is and whatnot, it's like, okay, okay. So from what I can gather, again, I'm sorry, and another clip I saw her. This is the one that got me. You know what I mean? And and this is a response to basically the defensive response to, when Kevin Samuels would talk about the whole die alone thing, ain't for the sake of making fun of you. It's the idea that, do y'all want to see this continue to happen to people and happen to women? Die alone is in die, like, you lived out the rest of your life with no relationship and no covering and no help, and you got to rely on your kids and whatnot, to basically play the role of your would-be husband, and basically she was saying, yeah, I was a mortician at a lot of those funerals. For black men, there'll be no one there. But when a black woman dies, it's this person there and that person there. There'll be no one there because because they never took care of their kids and and that's why there'll be no one at their funeral. I'm like, yo, like, God, dog, this is another reason why y'all stay single. Look at your character. You talking down on someone who didn't have no one at their funeral, and you don't know nothing about that person. And then you saying that happened that way because basically he deserved it. What if he ain't had no family? What if again, it's like mad variables to why it wouldn't be someone at someone's funeral. It wouldn't be a lot of people at someone's funeral. Or what if he, first of all, most men don't reproduce, so that's not true. A majority of black men in particular are single and childless. But in general, most men don't have kids. A majority of men in general don't have children. A lot of men who are single and childless in general, just all across the, you know what I mean? Because you got men who aren't that attractive, men who don't make that much money, men who just never had kids, So you have that, and again, and if that was the case, then hey, that's on that man and whatnot. But my point being is that, like, I'm like, God, my goodness gracious. I mean, like, that's just because again, it's like it just sounds personal. And it's not based on no actual facts or data or just, it's just basically just you saying, oh well, and I'm like, we don't know how many times you've seen that. We don't know, did you actually like look into if that person had any surviving family members and stuff like that? You don't know nothing about that person. I mean, like, but what I'm saying is, from there, I'm like, man, you got kind of that's mean. And I'm thinking about how, like, how many women think that it's cool to be mean or anything that holds you accountable and says, hey, you're gonna have to do some work. You just reason, I'll do this work, but I'm not gonna do this work. So I don't need to get into the channel. I mean, because I can tell by just looking just your appearance, how you talk and stuff like that. And again, I got love for the big girls, but she proves my point about, a lot of bigger women. Now she's not really big, but she look she plus size, right? But a lot of plus size women be having like these kind of attitudes, this kind of like tone, this real, and also it's very masculine. But her channel is mostly about quote unquote like leveling up, and kind of selling the idea to a woman that if you do these things, and it basically, if you smarten up, because you were so stupid before, that's why that happened to you. You were just stupid and you wasn't up on game. I'm putting you up on game. So now I'm putting you up on game. If you do these things, you'll get you a rich man. You'll get a man who pays all your bills. Don't do this, don't do that. She says this about me. And don't get me wrong, the common sense parts of it, yeah, that they make sense. Of course, yeah, you shouldn't be dating a man who don't have a job. You should look for a man that has some kind of future, most definitely. Maybe you should go for a man that's a little bit older, you know what I mean? So that, he's going to be more established than you are, or at least you guys will be evenly yoked and whatnot. You know what I mean? I tell my sister the same thing. But I don't have to say it in a way that's nasty or a way to diss anybody. Even with the conversations that Kevin Samuels was having, it wasn't nasty conversations. I mean, he told the truth about things, I mean, as they was and whatnot, but it wasn't for the sake of being nasty, But what I also saw, I was curious to know that if anyone ever did any videos on the lady, right? So I came across somebody, I guess he used to be who used to follow the content and everything, and it was basically like the girl was basically just mudslinging and just really just coming at the girl, coming at Sheriff 7 crazy. But it was like, this is the kind of people that follow the content, and I'm looking at the girl that was talking about her too. Girl was talking about her. She was extremely loud, whole lot of cussing, just saying nasty things about the girl, and also, and she's like, yeah, the stuff she's talking about doesn't work. Last year I was trying to date men over 50 and 60, and I want to be in a big old hoe. I don't know if she meant that she slept with the men or not, but I think she was just saying that she was, again, just listening to this woman and whatnot, and she's like, yeah, this doesn't work, and another thing too was I saw two videos. There was one lady that was just doing kind of like an audio version. You couldn't see her face, and she was just talking about this stuff doesn't work, and it was for her own reasons. But she wasn't saying what I'm saying in terms of what I'm about to get into. But the initial girl, right? It was two things. For one, I noticed the girl was heavy. Also, she was very she was average looking. You know what I'm saying? She wasn't a good looking woman. You know what I'm saying? I think she looked all right and everything. Especially if she lost some weight, she will look better. But she was like a regular looking girl, and I'm like, why do you think, like, so you really thought you were going to go out here and get a sugar daddy? I'm like, why are you teaching women that they're going to be able to go out here and get some well-off sugar daddy? Why are you even going for that? You know what I'm saying? And then what was also stood out to me was on that girl's page, right? I looked at her community page and I saw that basically I think somebody reposted how, like, yeah, you know, like y'all are saying rest in peace to Jerry Springer. You know what I mean? You know, especially knowing with like Jerry Springer, you know, not that he was ever an enemy to our community, but like this man, he made money off of us looking crazy on his platform. He wasn't like no one. I guess he was an okay guy, I guess, but it wasn't like, he was like some super respected person. Whereas like some women, they celebrated him dying. They celebrated the death of Kevin Samuels and made fun of the death of, like, even now. Like, I saw a stream a few months ago where a woman said, yeah, when Kevin Samuels died in an apartment with a prostitute on top of him. That wasn't no prostitute. You don't have no proof of that. He was in a relationship with that girl. He got pictures with that girl. You know what I'm saying? They was like together. But anyway, I know it's on the original girl I'm talking about. I look on her community tab, and I didn't even read the whole thing, but I saw the first line, and it said, but no, I'm sorry, it was a repost of that, the meme, I'm sorry, of the Twitter post about people, not celebrating, but honoring Jerry Springer, man, saying, oh man, rest in peace, Jerry Springer. Meanwhile, when Kevin Samuels died, the people, women rejoiced, and the girl puts like, yeah, a lot of y'all still sad that y'all bussy daddy died and da. I'm like, yo, even if you didn't like the man and whatnot, right? We all know when someone uses words like bussy and stuff like that, yo, that's nasty. That's just nasty. But that's just nasty. But in general, like I said before, I'm like, man, like this, like, it's just crazy, I'm like, man, I'm really kind of seeing these are the kind of women who are going to follow this kind of content and listen to a person like this because you want someone to tell you that, hey, you don't have to bring anything to the table. You don't have to bring anything to the table that man's actually looking for or really wants, But what also I was thinking about was the fact that, like, yo, do you think these men don't, man, I'm sorry, Kevin Samuels used to bring this point too about, do y'all really think that these men are stupid and that these men don't want anything, or that they just want to just because this is when he was having a conversation about the plus size women thinking that they're going to get a rich man, and the average looking woman thinking they're going to get a rich man. And don't get me wrong, you can't, it could happen if you meet that man really really early in life, and you're just a great girlfriend, and you keep it tight and everything. Yo, you might go lock down a guy like that. If you're a big, I'm saying that bigger women usually, if you ever see a bigger woman with a man that's higher earning or is doing well, it's because, like, yo, she's been with him since he was young. She got with him early. That's how that works. But men don't get to that point and then from there go and get, I mean, but I guess my grand point and my ending point and with this is, like, why not just be a better person? All right. How do you not make the connections of, yo, my behavior has a direct, my behavior, who I am, how I move, how I talk, how I interact with people, my health, how I look, like, that has a direct impact on the kind of people that I attract and the kind of people I wind up with, and I'm also, it's like, yeah, again, like, why aren't you worried about your character? Why aren't you concerned with, being more of a kind person, being more of a giving person? You know what I'm saying, like give and take. You know what I mean? And being supportive, you know what I mean? And working on relationships. I don't see nothing on his channels. I never see anything in these clips about relationship skills. But anyway, that's what we got to work on, man. Our relationship skills, man. 6 Past Commandments, man. We out.